Manx Radio Sport.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Sport Classified on Manx Radio, crystal clear DAB and AM 1368. Today, the 23rd of September, bringing you the latest roundup of all the football, rugby and hockey scores across the Isle of Man and beyond. We'll be hearing from Tony Mepham, Ben Cunningham, Dave Christian throughout this evening show, running up until 6 p.m. to hear about all the results and hear all the reaction as well. But first off, it is time to bring you the classified sporting results from across the Isle of Man and beyond, starting with football, and results are as follows. The Canada Life Men's Premier League. Braddon 1, Ramsey 8. St George's 0, Union Mills 3. Corinthians 8, Morown 2. St Mary's 5, Douglas Royal 1. Ayr United 4, Peel 1. St John's United 2, Russian United 2. In DPS Limited Division 2, Castletown 6, Maloo 0. Colby 7, Pulrose 0. Michael United 6, Douglas High School Old Boys 2. Governors Athletic 2, Gyms 4. Foxdale versus Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys awaiting result. Canada Life Combination 1. Ramsey 5, Braddon 0. Morown 2, Corinthians 1. Douglas Royal 1, St Mary's 7. Peel 3, Ayr United 5. Russian United 7, St John's United 1. In DPS Limited Combination 2. Maloo versus Castletown postponed due to an unfit pitch. Douglas and District 4, Douglas Athletic 2. Douglas High School Old Boys 2, Michael United 5. Gyms 3, Governors Athletic 3. And the final result in that division, Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys 3, Foxdale 1. And finally, in the North West Counties Football League Premier Division, AFC Liverpool versus FC Isle of Man abandoned, score at 4-4 due to serious injury to AFC Liverpool player. Turning now to rugby. The Regional 2 Northwest. Vale of Loon 42, Douglas 7. Counties 4 ADM. Ellesmere Port 22, Vagabonds 19. The Women's NC1 Northwest. Chester Divas versus Vagabonds Ladies awaiting result. And the Ravenscroft Tennis side friendly. Ramsey 55, Southern Vikings 45. And now to mixed Manx hockey. The Mixed Premier League. Vikings B 0, Vikings A 7. Ramsey A 0, Harlequins A 3. Backers A 1, Valkyries A 3. Castletown Celts 4, Backers B 1. In Mixed Division 1, Backers C 5, Castletown Camags 1. Valkyries C 0, Vikings C 2. Valkyries B 0, Castletown Southerners 1. In Mixed Division 2, Castletown Cushags 0, Backers Colts 0. Vikings E 0, Vikings D 5. Valkyries D 2, Ramsey Ravens 3. In Mixed Division 3, Castletown Carrick 2, Backers D 3. Ramsey Rookies 1, Harlequins C 1. Harlequins B versus Castletown Cosney awaiting result. The Mixed Under-15s League. Valkyries 3, Castletown Sabres 5. Ramsey Rogues and Rascals versus Castletown Sharks awaiting result. Vikings versus Backers B awaiting result. And Backers A versus Harlequins awaiting result. Those are your classified sports results for the Isle of Man for the 23rd of September 2023. Still some outstanding results, particularly in the late pushbacks in the hockey, and no doubt we'll get some details later on there. But let's turn back to the footballing action. It's been goals galore across the divisions today, plenty to talk about. So very good evening, Tony Mepham.
Good evening, Rob. Yes, a lot of goals, and I'm glad to say the weather stayed good. It was nice and sunny throughout the afternoon, and as you say, a lot to talk about.
Well, before we get into the results, we did mention just a moment ago that the game between AFC Liverpool and FC Isle of Man was abandoned, the scoreline at 4-4. It was abandoned due to a serious injury to an AFC Liverpool player, so we wish the player involved all the best and a very speedy recovery. Let's turn back to the Isle of Man leagues then, and the Canada Life Men's Premier League. Plenty to talk about here, and we'll start in chronological order, I think we'll do this time, Tony. We'll start with the early kick-off, which you yourself were at today as well. St Mary's, top of the top flight, going into today's fixtures, undefeated up against a Douglas Royal team that have been scoring plenty of goals, but not getting the results maybe that they've been hoping for. And St Mary's, 5-1 winners today.
Yeah, good performance by St Mary's in the end, and Douglas Royal will be disappointed the way they played, but you can't do anything about it when you've got players running at you with pace and good players as well. But there's no doubt about it, Rob. The standout player in this game, to me, was James Lowy, Douglas Royal's goalkeeper. If he hadn't been in the form that he was in, saved a penalty, saved some real point-blank chances. It could have been double figures easily, but for Douglas Royal, well, it was Harley Jackson who really sort of made the goal. Great run through the centre midfield for him towards the goal area, and fed a lovely ball into Andy Asbridge, fired it past the keeper, stood no chance. So they could have quite easily had another goal 5 minutes later like that, but St Mary's, it was Nathan Halsall with 2 goals, Adam Adibayi with 1, just beat the full-back, got past him and showed the goalkeeper, as you say, the eyes, and went the other way and scored a good goal. Therese Thompson put 1 goal by scramble in the area. The first one was blocked, but the second one went in. And then it was Joe Burkhurst who got 1 from the penalty spot. St Mary's, good value all the way right the way through. To me, never troubled. And Douglas Royal, just chances that they had, Rob, they just couldn't score. So that's the one for them to try and improve on.
I mean, St Mary's, we've talked already at this very early stage of the season, we'll continue to caveat, but, coming in as a newly promoted side, they're set up in a certain way. They were prolific at times in Division 2 last season. How is it that they're translating that immediately into the top flight, do you think?
Well, for a start off, the Premiership isn't as strong as it was because of obviously players being taken out, but that's life, you just get on with it. But it's organisation as well. You can see right the way through the whole club. Let's just start from 9:30 this morning, Rob, where they had a breakfast day, if you like, where the players come in, everybody else, and it's something new. And I think I said to him, why don't you just open it up to the rest of the Isle of Man football and just do it? I think it's something really good. They don't make a lot of money out of it, but it's just brings the players together. And I think you can recommend the breakfast.
I certainly can. I was just going to come on to that as soon as you'd finished talking there, because the wonderful sight that greeted my eyes here in the Manx Radio studios this morning when a plate of wonderful food was brought from this St Mary's event by hand by Tony Mepham to my desk, and it was absolutely fantastic, absolutely made my morning, that. So to the team at St Mary's who provided that food and very kindly allowed Tony to bring some up here, thank you very much indeed.
And Chanel got one as well, and also Kevin Maitland, they hand delivered it, and I think it's great, and I think they should do it because it's forward thinking. 2 years ago, Rob, they weren't a club. And look where they are now. They've won Div 2, Combination 2 last season. And this year they're basically top of both. And credit to them, and just the organisation of the club right the way through, putting the signs up, just everything about it. They deserve what they're going through at the moment. And I think organisation on the pitch helps as well. Alex Harrison obviously is the number 2 at FC Isle of Man. He doesn't go away to most of the away games, and he's there organising them. And they play some really good football. And when you've got people, up front like Burkhurst, you've got Halsall, Nathan Halsall, Adam Adibayi is there. Therese Thompson's having the season of his life at the moment. And when you look at other players, Owen Canopy struggling with a bit of an injury at the moment, but still there. Credit to them, hands up. They've done so well. And any club who feels that they're being hard done by at the moment, player-wise and stuff, just take a leaf out of St Mary's book.
Well, if we're talking about teams that have caught the eye early on, let's take a look at what happened at Victoria Road today, because another newly promoted side, Braddon, they were hosting a Ramsey team who, like St Mary's and also Ayr United, the 3 undefeated sides in the top flight going into this week. And Ramsey, after that brilliant win against Laxey last time out, sending out another big message today at Victoria Road. They've beaten Braddon by 8-1, Tony.
Yeah, and you're just saying there about sort of players coming back in, and here you got Charlie Higgins coming back in for Ramsey. He got 3 today, 1 from the penalty spot. Doran Tartar got 1, Craig Hepburn on the score sheet, Liam Cooper, Ben Range, got his first goal for the club, and Nathan Crane as well. Got a bit of a report from Dean Turton, thanks Dean. From start to finish, Ramsey were the better team today. Braddon had 2 good 15-minute spells either side of the break, but nothing to trouble some for Ramsey to deal with. Harry Callan in goal for Braddon. Pulled off a couple of great saves, one a quadruple save in the first half. Charlie Higgins was a thorn in their side all day down the right, and Luke Smith in the middle of the park had a great game, very composed on the ball. Appreciate that, Dean.
Well, with Ramsey, we talked about some of the good results they had last season as well, but if they can keep up the consistency they've shown in these very early stages of this season, just how far can they go, do you think?
They can go all the way. I think Ramsey are good enough. I noticed it last season, but I think sometimes I watch them against Douglas Royal, I wouldn't say squabble, but they're round with each other, and you've got to stop that. And whether Anthony Cooper or whoever's sorted that one, I don't know. But when you're bringing players back in like Charlie Higgins, it just helps you. You score goals, you're going to win games, hopefully. And against the Braddon side, they're young, but they're still reasonable players in there and outstanding. And Doran Tartar's proved himself to be a good goal scorer. Greg Hepburn's a good footballer. Liam Cooper had a really good season last year. And then you got Nathan Crane and Ben Range who have come in and, they can score goals as well. So, yeah, take note of Ramsey. And at the moment, Ayr United as well. It's looking fruitful at the moment for the northern sides.
We'll come to Ayr United in a few moments' time, but we're going to go from Victoria Road, a few hundred yards away, to Glencrutchery Road, where St George's met Union Mills earlier. St George's and Union Mills with some positives already at the start of this season. And for Union Mills, like last season, starting out with a bit of a bang at the moment. It's 3 goals and 3 points at Glencrutchery Road for them today. They beat St George's by 3-0. Yeah,
another good performance. And Nathan Yates started it all off on the 34th minute. And then on the 58th minute, Jordan Crawley, who's playing in a bit of a deeper role, got the second. And then Ed Kenner, a new signing, got another goal on 75 minutes. And reporting from Johnny Myers, it's always nice to get from the opposition's manager. And he said, missed chances first half for St George's proved costly. Mills, good value for the win in the end. So well done to everyone at Union Mills.
And then over at Ballafletcher as well, Corinthians taking on Moran. And if we're talking about Goalfest, this is certainly up there in one of the big results of the day. It was madness in the opening 20 minutes. We'll talk about that in the moment. But Corinthians convincing winners here by 8-2.
Yeah, I think Ben Qualtrough, to be fair, the manager, is locking himself in a dark room every night and just trying to work out what permutation he can do with his players, because he's really having to change things around. A lot of good young players coming through, and fair play to him. He's given them the chances, and one shone today, and he's an absolute rising star. Chester Bell, he got himself a hat-trick. Well done, Chester. Jan Marquez is another good young player who's sort of always been there, but not quite maybe made it. But now he's a big one to get on that team sheet, scoring plenty of goals, and just his solid performances and also his strength in the way he plays is brilliant. Josh Kane as well got his 4th goal of the season. And then Dan Simpson, I said it to you when I covered the game recently against Peel. He is back, and he was back today. He scored a hat-trick, so I don't think they're going to have him long before FC Alaman come knocking at the door. But Moran kept chipping away. Carl Hartman got one of the goals, and Mike Webber got the second one. So good performance that by Corinthians.
Very well. Then up to the north of the island, one fixture that a lot of people had an eye on, with 2 of the potential contenders, I mean, in some people's eyes at least, for the Premier League title this year. The defending champions Peel made the journey up to Andrews playing fields to take on an Ayr United side tipped as dark horses by some to be in the mix. And it was the northern hosts who sent out a big message today, beating Peel by 4-1, Tony.
Yeah, and I think this is a marker down for Ayr United, because we were talking about at lunchtime with Paul, just, where Peel and Ayr were going to go, and this was going to be an indicator. And I've said it so many times, Danny Oram, when his head's on it, he's a player. He really is a player, and he got a hat-trick today. But Danny work, family commitments and everything else. He's not there on a regular basis sometimes. Sean Kelly got one, I think that's his first of the season. Taylor Andrews it was who got the goal for Peel. So disappointment for Peel, but a joyous evening, I would say, in the bar for Ayr United, and well done to them.
Very well. And the last game in the Canada Ifans Premier League today was between St John's United and Russian United, who going into today occupied the bottom 2 spots of the table at this early season, just not quite getting the points on the board in the opening couple of games here. And maybe, as it is on paper, is how the result has turned out, all square in the end at Mullinakloi. St John's 2, Russian United 2.
Yeah, and I've got just a little note from Sam Brown, the manager of St John's, was Russian Today, we're better than Russian, and Aaron Hawley got 2. Cornel Dillon for John has got 2. St John's evidently led twice, and I've got here that down to 10 men. I don't know whether that was St John's or Russian, but certainly Aaron Hawley got one of the goals in the 74th minute. I think the first one went in after half an hour for St John's. So with the team that St John's had out today, Rob, you expected them to be a lot stronger, and it's proved the point, and points shared, and both teams will move on for next week.
Point on the board for both sides. Let's move on to DPS Limited Division 2, and one of the standout ties in Division 2 this weekend, a southern derby between Castletown and Maloo. A feisty affair, as it seems to have been the case. Both sides ended the game down to 10 men after red cards for each side. I think Maloo in the first half and Castletown in the second. But in terms of the scoreline, there was one clear winner today, and it was the hosts. Castletown, 6-0 winners over Maloo today, Tony.
Yeah, exactly, and great performance by Castletown. Danny Lane with 2 goals. Robert Tier on the score sheet as well with a couple. Mike Thompson got 1, and Joel Callow as well got a goal. And as you say, the 10 players each. I take it must have been a forward and goalkeeper incident, because Adam Kinvig, the goalkeeper for Castletown, was sent off, and Danny Fretwell, who plays up front for Maloo, must have had a coming together or whatever, and both were given their marching orders, but it didn't seem to affect things, and Castletown keep the pressure on at the top of DPS Limited Division 2.
And if we're talking at the top of DPS Limited Division 2, one of the surprise early packages in the season we spoke about on Friday Sport Preview last night was Colby. They faced Pull Rose today, and Colby continuing this really good start to the season, and in some style as well, beating Pull Rose 7-0 today, Tony.
Yeah, fair play. And, when I was speaking to my old mate at Colby, and he was telling me that players had come back in, and Carl Hickey does make things tick. He can score goals, and when you look at the goal timings today, 13, 20, 30, 42, 44. So that's 5-0 up at half time. And then a goal on 55 and 66. They really did have a go at them. Carl Hickey with the first. Paul Whitley got 2 goals. Adam Fretwell with 1. Jordan Edge back from suspension got 1. Aidan Harker on the score sheet. And Seb Spears. Colby had more chances but couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. But I'm not dampening them. But they've going to be probably top of the table for a couple more weeks, because they've played the teams well and truly below them. But when they come up against the tough teams, then we'll see if they've got it. What we need is from them is real quality against the top sides. But, doesn't matter. They're winning in convincing style, playing good football. So another 7 goals today, another good performance.
And if we're talking about teams that may well be competing at the top of Division 2 this season, they certainly did last season. One of the real surprise packages, Michael United, they were at home today against Douglas High School. All Boys, of course, relegated from the Premier League last season. And Michael United, a clinical performance on home turf today against Old Boys. Michael United winning by 6-2. Yeah,
and couldn't cope with Liam Kane. Simple as that. 5 goals for him today. Dylan Parrish got the other one. For Old Boys, it was Callum Stewart and Craig Stewart, the twins there. And a great performance by Michael. And I think I've got a little bit of a report in where we could give something a mention. A double win for the Green Army. 2 great performances. The only sort of downside to it a little bit, Bailey Ashton injured with a nasty ankle injury. Could be a bad one. So my thoughts with Bailey's part of the family. And Michael's first team dominated. Liam Kane was deadly in front of goal. And Jordan Cowan was there to provide assists as well. So good result that for Michael.
Well, 2 more games taking place today in DPS Limited Division 2, and one of those, Governors Athletic and Gyms, played at Colby, and Governors Athletic 2, Gyms 4. Yeah,
we're just trying to get the goal scorers through for Governors Athletic, but for Gyms, Daniel Kelly Cooley, with 2. Matthew Keenan got 1, and Kieran Horrocks got the other one. So Gyms would be happy enough with that. Governors disappointed because after last week's result, but that's football.
Indeed it is. In the other game, Foxdale versus Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys, we don't have this result yet, but we believe that there was a significant delay during the game. That's why we haven't got the result yet.
Correct, Rob. Nasty injury. I think there's an ambulance called, but the game restarted, and we're just waiting for it to come in. I think it's come in now. Foxdale 4, Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys 0. Ricky Newsom with 2 penalties. Liam Cannon got 1. Kevin Pullman with a goal, and it's just finished, and that was 6 minutes ago.
Thank you very much, Tony Mepham. Let's move into the combination leagues then. And Ramsey versus Braddon. Ramsey, 5-0 winners here.
Yeah, and I think it's down to sort of Ramsey just few players filtering through from the first team last year into the combination. And Alistair Healy, I think it was, with 1, Cormac Smith with 2, Ryan Kinraid and Dominic Parrish getting the last goal there for Ramsey.
And then Marown versus Corinthians over at Memorial Playing Fields. Marown 2, Corinthians 1. And I understand from one of the messages I saw, Tony, that Marown played 65 minutes or more with 10 men.
Possibly. I haven't got the goal scorers. I've tried to get them. Maybe they might come through in a minute. But George Kearns it was, with his first ever senior goal, I think it is. So well done to George. But points dropped there for Corinthians because they've done quite well up until now.
And then also Douglas Royal 1, St Mary's 7.
The flying St Mary's, aren't they, at the top of the table, joint points. But Joe Burkhurst, he got 2 today. We've got Kieran Smith, he got 2 goals. We've got Dylan Vick as well. And I'll try and decipher my writing and find out who got the other 2, but it's William.
That's my line. I'm always deciphering my own writing because I can't read my writing. You can't take my line like that.
No, it's not William. We'll find out.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's take a look at Peel versus Ayr United, and much like the entertaining scoreline of the first teams, the combi game had even more goals in this. Ayr United winners again, this time over in the West by 5-3.
It was, and for Peel it was Lee Hardman, Alec Akalongu and Aaron Costain from the penalty spot. 3-1 it was to Ayr United at half-time. I've got Phil Dunnigan with 1. I've got Mark Nixon. I think that might be Mike Nixon, unless it's his son, because his son's playing football now. But Kieran Talbot got 1. Chris Curtis got 1. And Chris Robinson got the other 1. So another good performance by Ayers Combi.
That's Canada Life combination 1 onto no, it isn't. No, it isn't. I've jumped the gun there because there was another result, and I think just as important as well, because Russian United facing St John's, and Russian United, of course, winners of this division last season, winning all 22 games, but already 2 defeats this season. But they've got themselves back on track today against St John's United Russian by winning 7-1. Yeah,
good performance, because I know St John's lost a few to go into the first team, but St John's, I think, was 2nd or 3rd last season. But today, goals shared about. Matty Lamb got 2, Alex Guy, Ryan Crawley, Luke Roberts, Locke Denham, and the lady that sits opposite you in the office, Tessa's husband, Tessa Hawley, Kyle McGee scored the other one. It's quite interesting that, because we were talking to Tessa last night about Kyle, because when you think of it, he was in a leg frame this time last year, I think it was, and then he got married with the leg frame on, and I just said, how's his injury going? Oh, he's back playing, so fantastic, and that'll do him a world of good. Still has a little bit of trouble with it, as the swelling around the ankle after he's played football, but he scored a goal, and I'm sure Tessa will make him a nice tea to celebrate that one.
Well then, let's move on to DPS Limited. DPS Limited Combination 2. Malou versus Castletown. That was the only game postponed today, and this is because this was down to an unfit pitch, so that game will be rearranged for a later date. Douglas and District versus Douglas Athletic today. Douglas and District 4, Douglas Athletic 2.
1-0 at half-time to D&D. Daniel Hoyce with 2 goals, Brian Tung with 1, and Curtis Daviley got the other one. And it was Daniel Hoyce, I think, 4 goals now in the last couple of games, so well done to him. I haven't got Douglas Athletics goal scorers.
And Douglas High School Old Boys versus Michael United. Michael United on top as well in the combination game as well, winning by 5-2 at Old Boys.
Yeah, all down to Nathan Farragher. He got 3. Corbin Bowers got 1, and Tomo Burnett. And I've got for Douglas High School Old Boys, this is funny, Lee Gartland got 1, and Tomo, I'm not too sure who Tomo is, but if you can put a Christian name in, please, that'll help.
I've got a Tomo Burnett down.
Yeah, I've got a Tomo Burnett for Michael, but I've got a Tomo for Old Boys.
Oh, for Old Boys here. We've got another Tomo. There's 2 Tomos in this game.
I don't know who that is.
We'll have to clarify that at some point, I think
yes,
it's fair
please.
to say. Okay, Jims versus Governors Athletic. Honours even in a 6-goal game. Sounds quite entertaining. Jims 3, Governors Athletic 3.
Yeah, Cal Pete with 2, and Mackenzie Corkle got the other one.
And last but certainly not least, in DPS Limited Combination 2, Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys 3, Foxdale 1.
All the goals scored in the first half. It was Ross Crawford with 2. Matty Corkle got the other one. Callum Wade got the goal for Foxdale.
And finally, just a quick mention for FC Isle of Man today. involved in what was a thrilling scoreline against AFC Liverpool today in the NWCFL Premier Division. It finished at the Marine Traveller Unit, AFC Liverpool 4, FC Isle of Man 4. But that game abandoned with around 15 minutes to go due to a serious injury to an AFC Liverpool player. And as we mentioned before, we do wish whoever was involved all the very best and a speedy recovery as well. Tony, that's now 6 games without a win for FC Isle of Man, albeit it's a point on the board. But they led several times in that game, including twice with a 2-goal margin, but not able to hold on to it. What seems to potentially be happening right now?
I don't know, Rob, because we were listening to the commentary downstairs or as the goals were going in, and FC Isle of Man seemed to take the lead and then conceded. FC Isle of Man then took the lead again and conceded. I'm not too sure because just going through the back four, that's as good a back four as we could have with Owen on the right-hand side. You've got Jacob on the left, Jacob Crook, and then in the middle, Alex Maitland, and you've also got Jack McVeigh. So that's really strong. So I don't know whether the midfield aren't able to close them down to stop them coming through, or if they're set pieces. I'm just not too sure, but I'm just looking forward to seeing them at home next week. They've got a massive game on Tuesday night against Bury. Hopefully we'll catch that one live streaming. But it's disappointment for Paul Jones, and just to check, because I've already been asked it, does that score stand? Because in the Isle of Man rules, it would stand, but in the Northwest Counties, I'm not 100% sure because it was abandoned with still time to go. Usually, after 70 minutes, the score stands. Have we had that confirmed?
Haven't confirmed that at the moment, but I'm sure we will get that in the coming hours once it's worked out.
Yeah, but it's just really a real kick in the stomach, isn't it, for the boys? Because they've done well, they've travelled over, and they've done everything right. They took the lead, and you were saying that by the sound of it, everything was going to plan. They were the best team on the park, but they couldn't shut the door and stop those goals going in. So that's frustrating for Paul Jones, and you can tell in his interviews with you that he's getting frustrated because they seem to have the game in their grasp and then lose control of it and then drop points.
Well, we were hoping to link up with Paul Jones in the next couple of minutes, but just not possible at the moment. They do have a very quick turnaround time, just for clarity as well, from the game today, and looking to get the evening boat back as well. So it could be due to the travel arrangements that they're just having to make sure that they get themselves there on time just to get to the boat back. If we can catch up with Paul later in the show, we will do so. But in the meantime, Tony Mepham, thank you very much again.
Manx Radio Sport.
Well, we're now going to turn our attention to rugby as well, and plenty going on with the Isle of Man's teams across the water today. Douglas back involved in the Regional 2 Northwest, still hunting for their first win of the season as they made the journey to Lancaster to play Vale of Loon today. Meanwhile, it was the start of the season for Vagabonds men's and ladies teams. They were both on their travels as well. Vagabonds heading over to the Wirral to take on Ellesmere Port in the new Counties 4 ADM division that they dropped down into last season. Meanwhile, Vagabonds ladies involved in the Women's NC1 Northwest, where they finished strongly last season up against the Chester Divas side, who they finished very close to indeed and had some great games against last season as well. Well, with that in mind, we think it is a high time to hand over to our man in the know about the rugby results across the Isle of Man, wherever they are. So hopefully we can link up. Good evening, Dave Christian. Don't seem to have Dave Christian on the other end just at the moment. We'll look to catch up with Dave in a moment. But just a quick reminder of the results that we have actually been having. It was in the Regional 2 Northwest. Vale of Loon 42, Douglas 7. Ellesmere Port 22, Vagabonds 19. And we've just had the result through, in fact, for the women's NC1 Northwest, and it finished Chester Divas 72, Vagabonds ladies 0. We'll be looking to catch up with Dave Christian, hopefully, if we can get a couple of these technical gremlins out of the way. Hopefully catch up with him in the next couple of moments to get his thoughts. While he's been on his travels, actually, Tony, as well. We seem to do this at least a couple of times a year. It's either Rome, it's Japan, it's been France most recently.
Yeah, he loves his rugby, doesn't he? And you can't take it away from him. But it must be marvellous to watch games like he's got there. And he does all his reporting as well. He even does his reporting from the stadium. Very clever.
Huge commitment.
Oh, massive.
Huge commitment. Well, hopefully we've now got some of these technical maladies out the way, and hopefully we can now catch up with Dave Christian. Dave, are you there?
I certainly am, Rob, and Yeah, technical gremlins. This time it wasn't my fault, which it normally is.
There's no blame apportioned here, Dave. Do not worry.
No, not at all. I wasn't blaming anybody. I was just saying it was my fault. Anyway, on with the results. Douglas Vale of Loon, a game that promised much but delivered very little for Douglas. They lost away 42-7, and the disappointing thing in the process was that Vale of Loon were bottom of the table coming in. Douglas's results hadn't gone their way, but they looked encouraging because the margins of previous defeats were quite small, but not today. Unfortunately, the trip to Lancaster, very, very fruitless for them. No losing bonus point. They got a try. Lucas Simmons went over for the only try of the game for Douglas. Luke Highland added the conversion. That does now put Douglas at the bottom of Regional 2 Northwest. Still only 4 games played, so there's plenty of mileage left, I think, in the season for them. But a defeat against the side that had played 3 and lost 3 is going to stick in the craw a little bit, I think. And to make matters worse for Douglas, they were heading down the M6 on the team bus, going to catch the plane home. The bus has suffered a blown tyre, and unfortunately it looks like they're going to miss their return, which means an unscheduled overnight stay UK. So massive bad luck for Douglas today. They hopefully will bounce back next week. They have Whitchurch, the Shropshire-based outfit, visiting Portashee next Saturday. I think we're going for an early kick-off for that one, depending on their flights, but that'll emerge in the week as we get a little bit closer to game time. But that'll be down there at Portashee. Whitchurch played 3 so far, won 1, lost 2, but they have played some of the sides nearer the top of the table, so Douglas will need to be on their mettle next week, but today it just wasn't their day. Similarly, for Vagabonds in Counties 4, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire, their league opening league match, sorry, Rob, if you excuse me there, I'm trying to multitask and not doing it very well. Their opening game in their league campaign in Counties 4 ended with a 22-19 defeat away at Ellesmere Port. 22-19, only a 3-point pick up, a losing bonus point, but I think they might have expected a little bit better from that. They'd played Ellesmere Port twice last season in Counties 3, the division above. Both teams obviously went down at the end of last season. And the games were decided margins, and again another one today, but twice for them with tries. Rasmus picked up their 3rd try, and Cam Finley's boot did the rest. Vagabonds will play Marple next week at Ballyfletcher in the first home game of their campaign, and we'll be there to cover that one for Saturday Live in the Cheshire Bowl in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll get a look at Marple for that as well. So 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say. Vagabonds ladies, it's not gone well for them today either. Vagabonds with Chester Divas. Really, the games were decided, and Chester nicked one by 3 points up at Ballyfletcher. We covered that one for Saturday. There've been some changes to the Vagabond squad though this season, and
we do seem to be having some more technical issues with Dave Christian there. We just got a bit of a flavour of what was going on at the other end. We'll try and reconnect with Dave possibly later in the show. Thank you, Dave, for your input so far here. So the result he was getting onto there was the women's NC1 Northwest Vagabonds ladies losing in their opening game of the season at Chester Divas by 72 points to 0. And just a reminder, there was a domestic friendly today. The Ravenscroft tennis side was taking place between Ramsey and Southern Vikings. Ramsey winners by 55 points to 45. Well, now our attention turns to hockey, and after a very entertaining opening couple of weeks in the mixed hockey season, the Week 3 has made its way across the Isle of Man throughout Saturday as well, from the morning and right through the afternoon as well. We've already gone through the individual results in the classifieds. Now it's time to go through them in a little bit more detail as well. So now time to bring him in. He's been waiting patiently as ever. A very good evening, Ben Cunningham.
Good evening. I enjoyed my little jingle there. It's quite nice, that.
I'm glad you did. I'm trying to please everyone here, you know.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the results then. Let's have a look at the Mixed Premier League to start with. All games were pushing back at 2:05 today, and we'll start with actually an interclub derby in the Mixed Premier League. Vikings B taking on Vikings A, and often in these cases we expect, I think, the A teams to show a little bit of class maybe against their B team as well, but also making sure those B teams do stand a fighting chance, and they certainly do between a lot of the clubs here. But Vikings A showing their class in this one, winning by 7-0.
Yeah, Kim Carney with 2, Daryl Jago with 2, Tom Burrows with 2, and Will Bryson with 1. And the A team showing the B team there that, you know, they're the higher ranked team.
And for Vikings A as well, they'll be hoping to be pushing towards the top naturally in the Mixed Premier League as well. And it's been reasonable start for them. Vikings B with a B team coming into the Mixed Premier League is always a challenge. We saw that with Valkai's B last season as well. We've seen it with Bacca's B as well. So Vikings B, you know, what should their objectives be for this season, do you think?
Definitely their their task really should be to look at not being the team that's going to be relegated. They're going to be in that relegation battle, but then they have already got a win this season so far. So they're sitting comfortable at the minute, but once the first round of the fixtures have been played and they all come around and play each other again, it's going to be very nail-biting.
Indeed. Let's move up to the north of the island. Ramsey A versus Harlequins A. This is the game you covered for us here on Manx Radio for Saturday Live. Two sides really looking to try and get some points on the board early in the season in what could be a real battle towards the bottom of the table involving these sides and possibly more later in the campaign as it goes on. But this had the feel of a game that whoever could take the most points today could set themselves in a much better position going forward. And it was Harlequins A who managed to do that, beating Ramsey A 3-0.
Yeah, Harlequins A getting the 3-0 win there, 0-0 at half-time, so it was all to play for in the second half. And in the second half, Harlequins stepped it up another level. And the report the message from the Ramsey A captain basically just said Ramsey just couldn't handle Quinn's pace in that game. Ronan Santantoyo with 1, Ewan Wiley with 1, and Alfie Swales with 1. And a bit more pressure on Ramsey A.
And speaking of Ramsey there, like you say, it was, listening to your reports as well, very end-to-end to start with, really not much to choose between them, but Harlequins with that clinical edge. So where did Ramsey get that from going forward? Because they'll be really wanting to start getting those points on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Ramsey, give them credit, they didn't let their heads go down, but once the second goal went in, you could see a few players were like, oh, that's it. But it's if they just keep going, because they could have gave Harlequins a right game there, but just Harlequins stepped it up another level and got the win. But if Ramsey can just keep playing for the full duration of the game and don't let their heads drop, then I think they could possibly pull out a win there.
And then we move over to King William's College and arguably the shock of the weekend. The defending Premier League champions Bacca's A facing Valkai's A side. Valkai's A with a good couple of results under their belt already, and they've taken a major scalp in the league already. They have beaten Bacca's A by 3-1, Ben.
Yeah, and I came in and you said to me, have you looked at your messages? And I said, no. And you said you might want to look at them. And it was like, wow. 3-1. Valkai's have done it. Credit to Valkai's. They've had a great start to the season, and their winning streak just continues. Ollie Webster, Greg Miller, and Lewis Noah Smith for Valkai's, and then for Bacca's A it was Luca Parto. But shock there today on the cards, and that's helped Vikings A get ahead.
And do you think this is not just encouragement for Valkai's, but also the other teams, the likes of Vikings A and Castletown Celts, to know that, you know, Bacca's A, you know, they've been so dominant because of their quality for a fair while, and to see Valkai's picking up points there, other teams might think, well, we can do that as well. There are opportunities there.
Absolutely, and I mean, Bacca's A next few fixtures are the big ones, so they'll be definitely wanting to put this one behind them and focus on getting their winning form back for the next fixtures coming up.
Very well, and the fourth and final game in the Mixed Premier League today was over at Castle Rushen High School. Castletown Celts up against Backers B, and Castletown Celts with a very professional performance today, winning 4-1.
Yeah, Backers B goal scorer was Lucy Cartwright, and then for Castletown Celts it was Sarah Farragher, Shay Christian, Stephen Ronan and Macklin Wilson. But all together, looking at them results, it does leave now Backers B and Ramsey A still looking for their first wins.
And still plenty of time to go in the
Still
campaign.
plenty
I
of
think
time
it's
to
fair
go.
to caveat there. Let's take a look at Mixed Division 1 now. We had 3 games there today. We'll start out with one of the earlier ones, 12:35 pushback. Backers C versus Castletown Camags, King Williams College. Backers C, 5-1 winners.
Yeah, great win for Backers C there. Alex Stewart with 3, Senna Millwall with 1 and Doug Quayle with 1. And then for Camags, it was Kira Cooper.
And then also at 12:35, it was a battle of the C teams, Valkyries C against Viking C at the NSC. Viking C coming out on top by 2-0.
Yeah, and Viking C have got their first win of the season, and they've proved me wrong. I had Valkyries C down to win this one, so I stand corrected. But Molly Wheeler and Braden Masterson with the goals each for Viking C.
And then the other game in Mixed Division 1, we were keeping quite a keen eye on this one because it was top 2 sides in the league meeting here. Valkyries B up against Castletown Southerners at QE2. And this has been a very, very close game indeed by the scoreline. But one team just edging it, Ben.
And it was Castletown Southerners. And as we've said time and time again, don't rule out a Castletown team. And they've proved it again. And it was Dave Clark-Wilson with the absolute crucial goal.
I mean, still plenty of time in the campaign, but does that feel like mentally maybe a big one to be taken for Castletown Southerners at this stage?
That'll definitely be a big win for Castletown Southerners today, and it'll be one that they'll have to make sure that they don't let slip.
Okay, into Mixed Division 2, we had 2 early pushbacks at 11:05, and one of those, this is a big rarity in all my years in playing hockey and watching hockey. You don't see these all too often. A goalless draw. Castletown Cushags 0, Backers Colts 0 at Castle Rushen High School, and I'm told, I did get a couple of comments sent in to us, that it was not a dull game, as the scoreline might make certain people believe. We understand it was pretty end-to-end.
Yeah, the reports that we've had have said it was pretty much end-to-end. And the game really didn't deserve to end goalless, but it did.
It was all it needed was a goal.
Basically. But both captains said all they needed was a goal, and just both teams just couldn't find it.
Sometimes it does happen in hockey, just occasionally.
It does.
In another early pushback was another interclub derby for Vikings. We mentioned the A and B teams meeting in the Premier League. Well, that was the same in Division 2. Vikings E versus Vikings D. And again, it was the higher-ranked team, if you want to put it that way, that came out on top today. Vikings D winning by 5-0.
Yeah, Ash Osborne with 3, Adam Braywood with 1, and Ben Dougal with 1. And again, like you say, you'd favour the higher teams come out on top, and they have.
And in the 12:35 pushback in Mixed Division 2, Valkyries D2, Ramsey Ravens 3 at QE2.
And again, another result that I've been proved wrong. I had Valkyries down to just get this, and Ramsey have done it. For Ramsey, it was Dan Stevenson's with 2, and Caitlin Burnett with 1. And then for Valkyries D, it was Ollie Freer and Bruce Gimbert.
You've got to stop putting these ultimatums down. They're just not working out for you this season, Ben.
I know, I'm being too brave too early, aren't I?
Maybe you'll get a couple right in the next few weeks. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Indeed. Mixed Division 3 then. And we had 2 games pushing back at 12:35 and one a later one as well at 3:35. We'll start with the early ones. One of those at 12:35 was Castletown Carrick up against Backers D. Close game here, but Backers D edging it by 3-2.
And I did say this might have just one goal between it, and they have. So that's one result I've got right this week, so I'm happy for that. Neil Brew with 2, Christian Davis with 1 for Backers D, and then for Castletown Carricks it was Daniel Cross with 2.
Very well, the other 12:35, all square between Ramsey Rookies and Harlequin C, 1-1.
Yeah, Valentino Crossgrave for Ramsey Rookies, and some fella called Ben Cunningham, or aka Ken Cunningham to you and Paul. But yeah, one apiece, and it was a really end-to-end game, and could have gone either way.
Indeed, and 3:35, Harlequins B against Castletown Cosney. A good win for Harlequins B today, 7-1.
7-1, a great win for them, and credit where it's due to Cosney, because they have got the first goal past Harlequins B in this league. Harlequins B came into this game not conceding any goals in their first 2 games. For Harlequins, it was Corey Corkill with 3, Gemma Quayle with 1, Emma Worsfer with 1, and Sam Cunningham with 2. Yep, that's going to be me getting bragging rights when I get home. And then for Castertown Cosney, it was Robbie Valga.
And then last but certainly not least, we had 4 games today in the Mixed Under-15s League. One of those was an early pushback, 11:05, and an entertaining one it was at QE2. Valkyries 3, Castertown Sabres 5.
Yeah, and this Under-15s League is looking really entertaining, as you'll hear through the results. Every game is looking really close each week. And again, like I say, 5-3 in this one. For Valkyries, it was Liam Harrison with 2 and Amber Buchanan with 1. And then for Castertown Sabres, it was Charlie Vaughan with 2, Christopher Crompton Harvey with 1, Zach Hughes with 1, and Casper Brown with 1.
And then the other games pushed back at 3:35. One of those, another entertaining one at Castle Russian High School. Ramsey Rogues and Rascals 4, Castletown Sharks 3.
Yeah, another close game. It's really good seeing all the close games in all the leagues this weekend. Ollie Gimble with 2, Valentino Crossgrave with 1, and Charlie Perkins with 1 for Ramsey Rogues and Rascals. And then for Castletown Sharks, it was a hat-trick for Adam Eels.
More goals as well in the other game we're looking at here, but far more one-sided. It finished Vikings 0, Backers B 9.
Yeah, Backers B, a 9-0 win there. Ed Pearson with 1, George Lease with 3, and Ollie Christian with 5.
And rounding out the mixed hockey fixtures this weekend, another of the 3:35 pushbacks in the Under-15s League. Backers A and Harlequins at Ramsey Grammar School, and it ended all square, 2-2.
2-2. Cal Joyce with 2, Caleb Blakemore with 1, and Killian Dowling with 1.
So just very quickly to round things off before you let you scurry away for the rest of your weekend, I'm guessing the answer that's going to be coming here, but what is the standout score or scores this weekend in your opinion?
Right, okay. In the Premier League, definitely the Valkyries A, Backers A score, definitely. Division 1, it's gonna have to be that Castletown Southerners Valkyries B score. In Division 2, all of the games really in Division 2 are standout ones. Division 3, Backers Harlequins B carry on their winning streak. And then in the Under-15s, I can't really pick a game there because they're all so close.
Very well, Ben, thank you very much as always. Well, rounding things off tonight as we approach 10 minutes to 6. FC Isle of Man were on the road today at AFC Liverpool, were involved in a thrilling draw with the game sadly having to be concluded prematurely. And now we can be joined by the FC Isle of Man manager, Paul Jones. Paul, very good evening to you. A thrilling game, a point apiece, one of those for yourselves, the game ending unfortunately on a rather sombre note. But what did you make of your team's performance before the game had to be brought to a close early?
Yeah, first things first. We obviously wish the AFC goalkeeper all our very best. We're still waiting for the ambulance at the moment, but he's awake and talking, so that's our main concern. But as far as the game's concerned, we played ever so well for long periods of the game, and unfortunately our kind of soft underbelly, so to speak, meant we shipped 4 goals, and a very soft penalty went against us, which we didn't feel really was. And but yeah, we are where we are, so we will wait to see what the league decide in terms of whether the game stands as a 4-4 or whether we are asked to replay. But it's a good day at the office for many reasons. Yes, we shouldn't have lost that game, but ultimately it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the health and well-being of the AFC Liverpool goalkeeper.
Absolutely. Well, just turning to your side's performance, it was 1-1 at half-time, and twice took a 2-goal lead, but AFC Liverpool brought it back each time as well. Do you think that was largely down to maybe things your team could have improved on, or it was the quality of AFC Liverpool when they went behind?
Yeah, we switched off again for 3 or 4 different occasions and didn't quite match runners from midfield, or weren't quite in the right positions because we didn't move across the pitch quickly enough. It was comfortable for large parts in terms of how we looked after the ball and kept possession and the amount of chances we created. And we've spoken about it lots, that you can't switch off for a moment, and teams at this level, no matter how dominant you may feel in a game, will make you pay, and that's happened again. And that's not necessarily tactics, that's not necessarily individual qualities in terms of how good they can be. It's literally just kind of making sure that maintaining focus over a full game. And we were naive again at times today, and that's ultimately what has cost us. Cost us a game in terms of not walking away with 3 points or being in a position when the game is abandoned where we're in the lead. So yes, I'm a little bit phlegmatic in terms of the actual result today, because it doesn't matter. It was a really serious head injury to the keeper, and that's all we're really concerned of. But there was huge amounts of positives to take when we reflect on the game, and there are areas we need to tighten up, but they're not things that we don't know about, and it's not like it's different things every week that's causing us problems. It's a consistent kind of pattern, and we're working hard with the players, and the players are working really, really hard to make sure that causes us fewer problems as the games go on. But we're really, really pleased in terms of the direction of travel with the group. It's just a case of being more consistent over a longer period of time, and we'll be in a really, really good place.
And just one final question before we let you go. We know we've got travel plans this evening. As you have pointed out, the priority absolutely is with the welfare of the AFC Liverpool player in question at this particular time. And as we'll continue to reiterate, we do wish them well and a very speedy recovery indeed. But in the coming days and weeks, as it were, it's a quick turnaround as it stands at the moment for yourselves, travelling away to Bury on Tuesday night. So is there anything in particular your side can work on the pitch in the meantime, or is it pretty much straight from this venue and into the next one in a few days?
Yeah, it is pretty much that. We'll have a natter and see whether we think about doing something as a group, before the Bury game. More because we've not finished off today, and not every player managed to get minutes today, or so there's maybe a conversation to have with the group around that. But yeah, we're kind of got to learn. We said to the players, really good players and really good teams learn very, very quickly, and they don't make the same mistakes again and again and again. And we have to learn and take our medicine from today in terms of the things that we did that ultimately kind of cost us walking away with 3 points, and put that into place on Tuesday night against what will be a very difficult Bury team who've got a little bit of a resurgence over the last couple of games, and there may well be a new manager in the dugout as well. So it'll be a really tough game. It's an important one for us to do well in, and we're really looking forward to that challenge.
Well, Paul, once again, thank you very much for your time. We wish you a safe journey back as well. Well, that brings to an end Saturday Sport Classified on Manx Radio DAB and AM 1368 this evening. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to our guests as ever, Tony Mepham, Dave Christian, Ben Cunningham, and of course Paul Jones, who we heard from in the last couple of moments. Well, we'll now be handing back over to Christy DeHaven over on our FM frequency for Saturday Live Lounge. Thank you for joining us once again. Enjoy your Saturday evening and have a wonderful weekend as well. But from me until next time, it's bye for now.
Manx Radio Sport.